We've all heard that saying, experience is the best teacher. But is it really? Today, we're going to dig into why the lessons we choose to pull from our lives are often way more powerful than the experiences themselves. And it all kicks off with a question I think we can all connect with. Have you ever gone through something with a friend or a family member, only to realize later that you both learned completely different things from it? It's the same event, but you walk away with two totally different takeaways. How on earth does that happen?
Well, to really get to the bottom of this, we've got to get clear on two key ideas: experience and knowing. See, experience is kind of passive. It's just the stuff that happens to you. But knowing, that's active. That's the part where you actually pull a lesson out of it and figure out what to do with it. And that little distinction, it's the key to everything.
And this brings us to the big idea for today, the degree of knowing. It's this idea that it's not just that we learned something, but it's about the quality and the scope of what we learn. This is what separates a small lesson from a truly life-changing breakthrough.
Okay, to make this all feel a little less abstract, we're going to lean on a simple but really powerful story. It's a parable about three brothers, and it perfectly shows how this degree of knowing works in the real world.
So, here's the story. You've got three rich brothers who leave home to go see the world. They land in the big city, live this incredibly lavish life, and just blow through all their money. And, you guessed it, as soon as the money's gone, so are all their new friends. They end up broke and starving. With no other choice, they all have to return home. It's a classic story, right? But here's the important part. They all went through the exact same experience, step by step. And this is where things get really interesting. You have one shared experience, one single series of events. But as we're about to see, it leads to three totally different outcomes, three unique lessons, and three very different futures for these brothers. So let's break down how they each reacted. The first brother, he gets really bitter. His big takeaway is you just can't trust people. The second brother is a bit more of a thinker. He concludes, okay, sharks will always prey on the weak. But then there's the third brother. He looks inward. He realizes that, yeah, those other points might be true, but the real root cause was his own lack of purpose and his own actions. He's the one who actually takes responsibility. So this is the million-dollar question, right? Three guys, one event, and they all walk away living in three completely different realities. What's the mechanism here? What's going on inside each of them that causes these wildly different interpretations?
Well, the answer seems to be in the internal tools that we all use to make sense of our experiences. Think of it like a toolbox. We all have these tools, but we don't always reach for the same one. And these tools are what end up shaping our entire understanding of what just happened. According to this way of thinking, we have three main tools. First is the emotional tool, which is all about our feelings. That was the first, bitter brother. Then there's the rational tool, based on logic and analysis. That's the second brother. And finally, you have the philosophical tool. This one comes from what the source material calls our spirit, our ability to do some deep, intuitive self-reflection. And that's the tool the third brother used.
And this chart really nails it, doesn't it? Each brother just defaulted to a different primary tool. One was all emotion, the second was all logic. But the third guy, he accessed something deeper. He didn't just react or analyze, he actually contemplated.
So, what exactly is this philosophical tool? Well, it's the part of us that uses intuition to think on a much deeper level. It's that ability to look past the immediate pain of an event and ask the bigger questions, like, why did this really happen? What was my part in all of this? And what is the real lesson here for my own personal growth? To really get why that third tool is so different, it helps to look at the other two. Our emotional and rational tools, their main job is basically protection. They're all about survival. Don't trust people, and watch out for sharks. Those are defensive lessons designed to keep us safe from future harm. But the philosophical tool? It's playing a whole different game. It's not just about protection. It's about the growth and the maturity of our inner self, our spirit. It uses an experience not as a threat to defend against, but as raw material for becoming a wiser, more complete person. And this is where it all comes together. Learning to access this third tool is what allows us to achieve a higher degree of knowing, and that is the true path to real, lasting personal growth. So the big takeaway is this. The most profound, the most transformative learning, it doesn't come from our feelings or our logic alone. The highest degree of knowing happens through that deep, intuitive reflection. It takes place on a philosophical level.
Okay, so how can you tell which tool you're using in your own life? How do you test your own degree of knowing?
Well, there's a pretty simple test. Just look at the results. When you apply the lesson you learned, does it lead to more conflict and drama? That probably means it's a limited kind of knowing. Or does it create more peace and harmony in your life? That's the sign of a higher knowing.
This whole idea is summed up perfectly in this quote. It basically says that no matter how smart or logical a lesson seems, if putting it into practice consistently creates conflict, then the lesson itself is incomplete. It's coming from a restricted point of view. That is a really humbling way to check our own wisdom, isn't it?
And that's really the question I want to leave you with. Think about the last big challenge you went through. When you look back on it now, what tool do you automatically reach for? Are you letting your emotions run the show? Are you overanalyzing it with logic? Or are you taking a moment to tap into that deeper, philosophical part of yourself, to find the lesson that's truly meant for your own growth? The choice, it turns out, is always ours.